guys, it's Stan, but my name is actually Dan, and I have a plan, but holy shit, I forgot to turn off my fan! Anyways, guys, Marcock here. Do you remember that Warframe video I made a long time ago? It was, you know, really bad. I'm gonna be doing a video like that today, but a lot more comprehensive, and instead I'm gonna be doing, instead of doing the differences between the two games and just listing which one does it better, I'm gonna be listing objective reasons why Warframe is the better game. Unbiased, but so I'm not gonna say anything like, "Oh, these two games are equal in this part, but this game gets the better because subjective uh, reason inserted there." So yeah, so I'm gonna be doing that. So, well, without further ado, and without other smart word that makes me sound smarter and better at conversate, let's get started. Alright, I wanted to get this off of my chest. Unlike Destiny, you can get every single item in the game for free without anybody spending money. And this game is free as well. The only thing you have to spend money for is if you're on console, your internet, and PlayStation Plus or Xbox Live Gold. But if you're on PC, all you have to really do is pay for your internet, and there you go. That's yeah. Yeah, this game is completely free, and you can get everything in the game for free. Unlike Bungie locks cosmetics and other things like that, and DLC behind a paywall. Where this game gets free updates that are the size of DLCs all the time and for free. You don't have to pay for any of it. And also, microtransactions are not forced. The platinum currency in the game, well, okay, the monetized currency in the game, platinum, is you don't have to buy that, and players can trade it, and I will tell you how later. But you can get platinum from other players if you're willing to trade items with them, and they're willing to buy them. So you can even get things that cost platinum that you can still get in the game for free, mind you, for free as well. You can even get the monetized currency for free. You don't have to spend any money. But that's one of the reasons why this game, or those are a couple of reasons why this game is a lot better than Destiny 2 in that kind of sense, because you don't have to pay a dime to play it. This game will probably sink in a lot of your time, and it doesn't cost any money. You can spend money if you want to, if you want to speed up your gameplay, your crafting time, if you want to get items faster, if you want boosters, all that kind of stuff. You can get all that for if you want to pay, or if you want like bundles and stuff that come with Prime Warframes, and I'll explain those later. But if you want those kind of things, you can pay money if you want to, or you could save up platinum from selling things to selling things to other players. You could save up platinum from that and then get the bundle that way. You could also do that, or you could spend money and do that. It's not really a pay to win game because it's PVE. It's a PVE game. So it's pay to win kind of refers to like PvP, but it can be referred to PvE. But I don't consider it a pay to win game because you can get everything just as fast if you're just determined enough. But you could also spend money to accelerate your progress. But I prefer to not pay because it kind of makes it's a looter. This game is a looter, so it kind of makes the grind worthwhile. So yeah. But in PvP standards, this game is not pay to win because even if you have a different class or weapon than the other person, it doesn't give you an advantage because everything in PvP is equalized. Everybody's equal in there, at least in my experience so far. Unless you have like a really low level frame, then you're not gonna be equal. But if you have everything maxed out, which is actually not that hard to do in this game, and doesn't take that long, then you're gonna be pretty solid and not you. It's gonna be based on your skill at that point, not really your gear, you know. So that's the first section. This is the first part. There I only have two parts to this, but the second part is going to be a lot longer. It's going to be more gameplay focused. So let's get to that now, shall we? Now, as you can see here, there is a large array and large variety of classes. There are, I think, over almost 40 classes in this game. You can get them all. And during the game, you don't you don't have certain characters. Each one of these classes is basically its own class and character. You can customize them however you want. You can get the cosmetics for them, and you can also change their color scheme and whatnot. The customization isn't as detailed in Destiny, unless you count color and not face shape. But you know, there's still more classes, and each class is actually unique and has its own design and own lore and background reasons for it existing entirely. Like the guy I'm playing, Limbo, his lore is he was a person messing with the Rift and wanted to uh, discover, well, basically interdimensional travel, and these things are called Tenno. They're basically kids with like cool powers and stuff. And this guy, he was doing interdimensional travel, but he died in the lore. But in the game, he's here because, yeah. So I so yeah, that's basically those are the classes. There are a lot of classes, and there's also a lot of weapons too. I actually really like how Warframe handles weapons in this game because in Destiny you have your primary, your secondary, and your tertiary, but there's certain types of weapons in those there's subcategories of weapons in that category. Warframe has the primary, secondary, and tertiary, but each weapon is its own unique weapon and not just a class of weapon. So in Destiny you have in your primary you have like the pulse rifle, the assault rifle, and that kind of stuff. But in Warframe, in your primary section, each weapon is different. There is no subcategory. Well, there is, but each weapon is different. So you can take two assault rifles, and they'll be completely different. They'll look different. They'll act different. They'll have different purposes. They'll have different magazine sizes, fire rates, all that kind of stuff. Where in Destiny, you take two assault rifles that are of the same level, and they look, sound, do, and act the same. Every weapon in this game is unique, and also in Destiny, you have a melee weapon, but it's your ultimate ability. And in Warframe, if you like melee weapons, this is for people that like melee weapons. If you like melee weapons, that is your tertiary weapon, is a melee weapon. This can be argued as either objective for the Destiny fans or objective for the Warframe fans. But from uh, the Warframe side of it, it is better if you like. It is objectively better than Destiny 2 if you like melee weapons. But other than that, I can't really say more on that because it kind of ends there. So, well, at least for the melee weapons. But for secondary weapons, there's a lot more variety of secondary weapons. They all do their own thing. They're all unique. Same with primary weapons. They are extremely different, each one. Yeah, you'll find ones that are pretty similar, but you won't. But no two guns will be the exact same in Warframe. Now, at least for me, the community is kind of a hard thing to talk about because it's very diverse. But for the majority of the community, they are very nice people. My experience with the community is not toxic at all. When I hop on Destiny, people are calling each other the N-word all the time. But when I hop on Warframe, people are being really nice, and everybody's pretty much willing to help anyone else at any time. When I first started Warframe, I didn't know what to do, so I went in the chat, asked people if they could help me do stuff. So a couple of them were like, yeah, they joined my party, and then they helped me go through the first couple of planets, teaching me how to play the game, when they had no benefit to do it at all, because they had all their stuff maxed out. They weren't doing anything. They went out of their way to help me, and I keep hearing stories like this all the time, but I don't hear anything like that from Destiny. I hear like friends like hooking up and starting to play Destiny 2 together and helping each other out, but I don't hear strangers helping other people out on the side of Destiny 2. But I hear these kind of things all the time coming from Warframe. Now, the community is also very open because there is a market side of the community where you can trade prime weapons and prime weapons and like prime warframes and mods. So you got your warframes, which is basically the class characters. You got your weapons, obviously, and each of those can have a primed version. And what a primed version is a reskin and better version of that warframe. And each of those have their own aesthetics as well. So one Warframe could look a certain way, and then and then that Prime version can look completely different. They do have the same abilities, but this abilities are more powerful. Their base stats are more powerful, and they're more viable. It's basically the normal Warframes and weapons. The level cap is 30, but with the Prime Warframes and weapons, their level cap is basically 60, if you want to think about it that way, and that's how I like to think about it. But mods comes also into this section of part 2, which is the gameplay. Now the gameplay is great, and let me tell you about it. Now the gameplay is kind of hard to explain as well because it's very diverse. You can basically do whatever you want. You want to be the Flash, running around the map killing everything in 0.3 seconds? You can. Be Volt and max out your mods, which is let me take some time to explain the mods before I get into the gameplay, because mods, if I don't explain them now, it's gonna be really annoying. So what mods are is basically your way of customizing your character with customizing your character stats, that we could say. It's the most customizable part of this game. In Destiny, you level up and you put attachments on your weapons, but instead in Warframe you put mods on them. What mods are stat changes and stat improvements. Like on Warframe, there is a mod called Vitality, which increases the health of your Warframe, or you can put on a thing called Redirection, which increases the shield for your Warframe. You can either have either or and have other mods, or you can have both to have the tank Warframe. Like people that play Rhino, which is a tank Warframe, most people have Vitality, Redirection, and Fiber on him, which gives him armor, Fiber. So for them, he is like the most badass tanky Warframe in the game, and he basically never dies. But for me, I like to be really fast and really damaging. And you can customize your weapons for either, let's say like you wanted to customize them for crit bonuses or crit chance and bonuses. You could do that. You could do raw damage or elemental damage too. You could customize it every which way, and that's why I like Warframe, because in Destiny, you get a scope or an extended mag. Yeah, that's real cool, guys. Whew, I love that. In Warframe, it's more geared towards builds and not, I want to say practicality, but I mean they're both practical, but they're more prone with practical builds instead of practical customization. That's how I'm going to explain it for now. See what I mean by that? Like instead of having a scope that is practical, or having an extended mag is practical, it's you get practical builds. You can build your Warframe or weapon any which way you want. And now that I've explained this, now I'm gonna start explaining the actual gameplay. Now as you can see right here, I am running pretty frickin' fast. Yes, I did say frickin' instead of fucking. Don't bully me for that, alright? I'm talking to my friends right now. That was a message for my friends. But you can run pretty fucking fast. At least you can if you wanted to. You could either be as slow as a turtle or as fast as the Flash. That's completely up to you. You want to be a really big tanky boy, but not run fast? Or you could be in the middle, run kind of fast, be kind of tanky. You could do that too. You can build your guy any which way. And look, this game is very fast-paced and is very easy until you get to the later planets. This game is very, I wouldn't say the mechanics is user-friendly, but the gameplay is user-friendly. The core gameplay. So you start out on Earth and you move up from there, and until you get to about Jupiter-ish, the game is fairly easy. It's very easy to get into, and it's very easy to pick up. And until you get to Jupiter, it's, yeah, pretty easy. But there are difficulty settings in this game, which is something that Warframe does hold over Destiny 2, because it does not have a difficulty setting. It does have different, like, event type things and different areas that have different stages, but it doesn't have a difficulty setting. It's locked basically on an easy mode, as I explained in my other video. So, you got that, and it evolves over time. So you go from being just running through missions to running through missions and doing all this other stuff that you need to do to get to the next thing that you're progressing to. So the gameplay is very fast paced, and you can kill everything fairly easily if you build your guy right. And if you have a great build, you'll cut everything. You'll cut through everything like a fucking graphene cheese roller, or like a graphene cheese cutter trying to cut through cheese. Fuck, I can't talk today. But anyway, yeah. So this game is very fast paced. In Destiny, it wants to be fast. Okay, let me explain this. Destiny, it wants to be a jack of all trades yet is a master of none. It wants to be a looter but doesn't give you meaningful loot. It wants to be an FPS but everything's boring. Even though that's subjective, but the gameplay is just stale and the same all the way through, where Warframe does have a lot of different types of gameplays that coincide together and actually have meaning together. So, Destiny 2, you run through a mission, shoot everything, get to the end, there may or may not be a boss, and you're done. With Warframe, you got all these other types of game modes. You got defense, survival, fucking sabotage, which is you go and destroy some shit, and then you got spy, which is you go and hack a couple computers and get information. And then, did I say those backwards? No, I don't think so. And then you got extermination, which is basically Destiny. You just go throughout and kill everything. And then you got all these different game modes that can be on all these different environments. Granted, Destiny does have in the missions, it does have different objectives in the missions, but those are pertaining to those missions. They're not really pertaining to the gameplay in general. I'm not going to talk about how good the bosses are because that's kind of subjective. I was going to. This is the second time I've remade this video, and I was going to talk about the bosses, but I decided not to, since that would be more subjective based and not objective based. But with sheer content, with how much you can do from the base game and the core gameplay, there is a lot more that you can do with Warframe than Destiny. And the gameplay is a lot more fast-paced in Destiny. There's meaningful loot. Gameplay is very both games are repetitious, but in my personal opinion, this is kind of going to the subjective side, but in my personal opinion, I think that Warframe's repetitious nature is a lot better handled in Warframe than Destiny 2. But that's subjective, of course, so that's not an objective reason. Do not count that as an objective reason. That is just my personal opinion. But Destiny 2 wants to be a looter. It has no meaningful loot. Warframe has very meaningful loot. You can progress really fast if you do the right missions at the right time. And also, Destiny 2 has a much lower level cap than Warframe. Destiny 2 has a level cap of, what, 30? Around there? And while Warframe has almost infinite level cap, if you really think about it, because you don't have multiple characters. You have multiple gear sets, basically. So you on one profile can have every Warframe in the game. And each Warframe has different abilities, which could be considered a class, or it could be considered a character, or it could be considered both or neither. But for the sake of this video, I'm going to consider them classes. Now, as I said earlier, the level, I don't think I actually said this earlier, but you level your weapons and your Warframes separately. So the level cap could be very large depending on what weapons you have and how many weapons you want to level up, and what Warframes you have and how many Warframes you want to level up, and if you have the Prime version of those too. There's also a mastery rank, which is basically whenever you level something up, normally it increases your mastery rank, and that I don't know what that caps out at yet, but it is, oh boy, it takes a long fucking time to level that up. So you got your mastery rank and your normal ranks, and your normal ranks can be practically infinite. just as so long as you keep getting more weapons and more Warframes. So that's that, and that's for the level cap. But onto the loot. Let's talk about how Warframe has better loot than Destiny 2 when both of them are looters. So, in Destiny, you run through and you get a random assortment of loot that you may or may not like. You might get a chest plate that's good, or you might not. Who the fuck knows? But most of the time, it's like 1 point better than the one you already have. But in Warframe, you get materials instead. This is a tried and true looter, basically. It's more looter than than Destiny 2. It's more based on loot. So you get, when you complete a mission, you get materials, but if you complete missions with bosses, you can get parts of a Warframe or weapon. Well, usually Warframe, but you could also get a part of a weapon if you do relics, and I'll talk about those later. But you get everything that you get throughout the mission is what you get. You don't just go through a mission and maybe get a good chest plate, or maybe not. You find everything that you get in the mission, and as you complete the mission, you get more XP and affinity, which is affinity is just basically bonus XP, and you'll get a bonus amount of credits as well. And if you're doing an alert, you'll get the special item. It tells you what item you're going to get. It's not random. It tells you what you're going to get if you do an alert. And if you do a relic, then it's random. But here's the thing. It tells you what your chances are for what you're going to get, and the entirety of what you may get. And you can increase your chances if you do more fissures and get these things called void traces, and you can upgrade your relic to get more chances of what you want from that relic. And that's how you get prime parts. You see, and those are also completely free. They're basically the loot boxes of Warframe. You can buy them if you really wanted to, but you can't open them with money. You have to do the missions. And you can't buy void traces with money. You have to do the missions. So it's basically, they're free loot boxes that force you to actually play the game to get the loot from them. And each loot is meaningful because of a crafting component, not an actual weapon or armor item that may or may not be better than yours. So if, let's say you're grinding for Limbo Prime and you have Limbo, it is guaranteed that Limbo Prime is going to be better because it's increased stats, and you know this. So you already know that your loot is becoming more meaningful than Destiny, because in Destiny it's random. You may get something worse, you may get something better, or you may get something that's exactly the same as yours. But in Warframe, you know exactly what you're gonna get, your chances of getting them, and if it's better than your stuff or not. Because if you're grinding for something, let's say you have Lex Prime, and you're grinding for another Lex Prime, then obviously you're gonna know that it's just as good, but you're grinding for that specific thing. So it's still meaningful to you, but it's just as good as what you have now. But if you have a normal weapon or Warframe and you're grinding for the Prime version, then it is a guarantee that when you get that, it is better than what you already have once you build it. You see what I mean by that? So all in all, in my opinion, Warframe is a better game, and these were the reasons why Warframe is an objectively better game than Destiny 2, that is. In Destiny 2, Destiny 2 is going through a heaping pile of shit right now. Everyone is leaving the game, and I wanted to make this video just to confirm their thoughts, or put more thoughts into their head, or bring more people over to the Warframe side, because I want a even bigger player base, because I'm a selfish bastard. But if you like the video, I don't know, eat pizza, go eat a cat. If you have anything that you disagree with in this video, then feel free to message me, or not message me, but comment down below what you think, and if you want to start a discussion, we can. Or tell me, if you're a Warframe fan, tell me what I missed in the video, If there's anything that I didn't cover, tell me. I would like to know. But anyways, all in all, that was the video, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys later.